Hi, sixth graders. Welcome to our last day for supporting details. I've been so happy to be able to work with you this week, but we're going to wrap up for supporting details. And I believe next week you are working on main idea, which you've got to jumpstart a little bit on this week because we talked about that with some supporting detail as well. So I want to go over the importance of Muhammad Ali abridged article that you guys did hopefully for homework yesterday or today before you're watching this. Some of the key details, supporting details that I found for why, Muhammad Ali was really important was that he was a civil rights leader. He was a civil rights activist. Even though, he said he didn't want to be a leader or didn't see himself as a leader because he was a huge sports figure in boxing, right? He became a leader because a lot of people looked up to him, a lot of both African Americans and a lot of white Americans as well started looking up to him, right? One of the quotes that I found there as a supporting detail was that Arthur Ashe had said, that was kind of towards the end of the article. Arthur Ashe said Ali changed the minds of Black and white Americans, which at the time was a really big deal, during the civil rights movement when African Americans were fighting for rights in the US. It was a big deal for white Americans to kind of see that as a person, as a leader as well. As a part of his leadership, he became an influence in the Black community. He was a part of the Nation of Islam and took the name Muhammad Ali, right? He wasn't born with that name. So the fact that he was in the Nation of Islam and a leader in that and found that as one of his belief systems at the time was really important as well for why he was important. And then also just that he was a major influence in boxing and a sports leader as well is my kind of third point. So I have that he was a civil rights leader, he was a sports leader in boxing, and he also changed the minds of both white and Black Americans in the US through his civil rights involvement and civil rights work. So there's some of my key details that I found through the article. I hope that you enjoyed the articles this week that I selected. Again, if you enjoyed them or if maybe you would like to read something different, I would really encourage you to look through ReadWorks. Your homework that I would give you today would just be to choose an article or choose another book that you have at home to read for 30 minutes today. It's great to practice, to work on all your reading comprehension skills, to just be reading every day for at least 20, 30 minutes. We've been doing that if you've been following along with me in these lessons, but just keeping that up throughout all the weeks is going to be some great practice for you while you're at home. If you can read out loud to maybe a sibling or mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, anyone that you have in the household, pets even. Sometimes pets are the best listeners. If you can read out loud to someone, that's even better because it's practicing your reading fluency, which is how you can just read without pausing or stopping or kind of thinking about it, which is great practice. We all have to practice that, even me. All your teachers have to practice that. Sometimes we stumble when we're reading in class. It's just a great way to practice. So I would challenge you to pick an article that you find interesting on ReadWorks, or like I said, pick anything that's really interesting to you. I want you to find it interesting. So pick something that you enjoy and read for 20, 30 minutes today. All right, I'm going to summarize a little bit what we went over this week. If you have your notes out, then you can kind of highlight through what we talked about. Remember the first couple days when we were looking at debates on a gym jam, and we talked about virtual learning, which you've gotten some practice with in these last few weeks a lot. We talked about how if it's a debate, there's two sides, right? So you're looking for supporting details for each of those sides. And a lot of times those subheadings or the headings of the articles can really help us to find where those supporting details may lie. When we moved into day 2, we started talking about how our own questions about what the subject or the title can also help us find those supporting details, right? If it's like our last article was the importance of Muhammad Ali. Who is Muhammad Ali? Why was he important? Who is he important to? Right? So those kind of questions that you have in your mind can help you hone in on where those supporting details are and what are critical details for you to understand the main idea, right? We talked about how main idea is critical in finding supporting details, right? If I was reading the article on Muhammad Ali and I thought it was only about boxing, right, then I might have a hard time trying to figure out why they put in the civil rights information if it was just about boxing, right? But because it's about Muhammad Ali as a person as a whole and all of his contributions to the sports world, to the civil rights world, to all people in our communities, then we can understand how each of those are supporting our main idea, right? And then if we have articles like in the last couple days that we practiced, if we have articles that don't have subheadings, again, it's using our questions that we just talked about that we are reflecting on. It's looking for synonyms and words that we see used throughout the article repeatedly because those are emphasizing to us that they're key details. If it says, if it's referencing key figures in that industry, right? When we talked about group behavior, sociologists or scientists in that field, right? So those are going to be experts that we want to look to when we're looking at statistics and facts and data. Those are going to be great supporting details for our main idea and what the main issue of the article is. Right, so that's just a quick summary of what we did this week. Again, I hope you enjoyed the articles. And learn some fun stuff. I hope your other classes are going well. We all miss you, and we hope that you're staying healthy and safe at home. So continue, remember, read for 20, 30 minutes a day. Thanks again, guys.